This is Edge of Sports on the PPI Network with your host, Dave Zirin.
I'm just like in fantasy land here. We just entered fantasy land. If Bruce Boudreau's contract was equal to Alexander Ovechkin's contract and you're George McPhee, do you get rid of Boudreau or Ovechkin?
You get rid of Boudreau. I mean, you're always going to wind up cutting the coach's cord than the meal tickets cord. People weren't coming to the game to see Bruce Boudreau. Bruce Boudreau was not the leader of a Rock the Red fan movement that has made that a hot ticket for even a Tuesday night game against Edmonton. You know, to kind of square it up as an Ovechkin versus Boudreau thing might not even be fair. I mean, there are other players during his tenure and during the season who didn't necessarily perform as they should.
Yeah, and number one on that list is Alexander Semin.
Yep.
And that leads to another question, because I don't know if you heard about Barry Melrose's interview on the Mike Wise show here in the D.C. area, but Melrose said that the team does not exist in the NHL that would trade for Alexander Semin. Are you with that? Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. I think there are always going to be general managers out there who, if they're presented with the right deal, are going to make a trade for a guy that can pot 40 goals. The issue with Alex Semin is how many places would he actually go? Because his options are go play someplace else in the National Hockey League or go make a gajillion dollars in Russia and go back home. And I've always been told by various people that there are very few places in the National Hockey League where Semin would play. It's not Washington or bust, as has been portrayed by some people, but I think that there are very few places that he will wind up going and playing versus being able to just kind of take his puck and go home.
Okay, so there does seem to be agreement throughout the D.C. sports community that it was probably time for Bruce Boudreau to be shown the door, if not past time. Dale Hunter, the only man in NHL history with 1,000 career points and 3,000 career penalty minutes, has never coached a game in the NHL. Do you like the move?
I find it interesting that they went with, as you're kind of inferring here, that they went with somebody without any NHL experience. This team has been lambasted for not performing in the playoffs, and they've hired a coach that not only hasn't coached in the playoffs but hasn't coached in the regular season. I'll say this about him. He has long been considered one of the stars in the coaching community, and there have been many, many teams that have tried to get him out of London to come coach their NHL team. The reason he hasn't left is that he was making money hand over fist in junior hockey, and because he could wait to pick his spot. And if you listen to Hunter when he got hired, he's kind of been waiting for this opportunity with Washington. It's come around a couple times. The timing wasn't right. He didn't feel like he had the experience. I guess the time is right now. And the thing I'll say about this hiring as far as a PR standpoint, you get rid of Bruce Boudreau, who is pretty much one of the winningest coaches of the last several years in the National Hockey League, fastest to 200 wins in league history. You have to bring in someone that is going to soothe the masses that are upset about this coaching change. If you had brought in Michel Therrien, the former Penguins coach, he might be more qualified to get this team playoff ready. But by no means is he going to have the leeway and the honeymoon time that Dale Hunter is going to have. Can you imagine if a guy not named Dale Hunter came out and lost the first game he coached with this team after Boudreau got fired?
Yeah.
The reaction would be quite different than what it is today.
Well, how patient do you think Caps fans are? I mean, you're from the community. You got your finger on the pulse. Well, how much time do you think they're going to give Dale Hunter to show that he can turn this around? And is it about wins and losses, or is it about style of play that people are going to be looking for?
It's going to be about style of play. It's going to be about trying to play with more fire, with more passion, to do the things that this team has shown it can do. But I think with the firing of Boudreau and the hiring of Hunter, if the team doesn't perform, then without question it's on the players. There's no more excuses. You brought in another guy. If you don't play for two coaches, then clearly it's a cancer within this roster, and the core of the team needs to be broken up. And again, like we talk about the firing of Boudreau maybe being past time. How long can you go with the same group of players that underperform and don't come and get past the second round of the playoffs?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I mean, do we have an answer for that? I mean, how long do you go?
Probably this season.
And then you talk about a serious restructuring job, or maybe even George McPhee losing his job.
Well, yeah, and I think in the case of McPhee, he went out and acquired Roman Hammerlick, Thomas Vokoun. He's made some other veteran additions within the last calendar year. He's kind of made the changes you'd make to kickstart a losing team,
right?
And nothing's really taken so far.